everybody, I'm Lightwolf, and welcome to Let's Play Super Metroid. Alright, a little bit of background info here before we get started. I think I might have mentioned it in the other video series. I am a game design student, and Super Metroid represents not only one of the most phenomenal game experiences I have ever had, but this is also my ultimate goal as a game designer. One day, I want to make something as great as this title. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but there you have it. Now, as for the point of this Let's Play, most of you know that I am by far not the first person to do a Let's Play on Super Metroid. Most of you might also know a thing or two about the game already. My big thing here really is the lore. Super Metroid is 99% wordless story, and outside of the manga for the Metroid series, there's very little background information on a lot of the characters. As a child, I formed my own opinions about what I thought was going on, and thanks to some recent research that I performed, I realized not all of it was true. So this is going to be my newfound theory run, now that I understand a lot more about the lore of the game. So if you're new to the Metroid series or you're a veteran, I encourage you to please come with me on this adventure and explore the depths of planet Ceres again. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and just get started. The intro here will go over the first two games in the Metroid series. This is technically the third game. Super Metroid, otherwise known as Metroid 3.
The last Metroid is in captivity. The galaxy is at peace.
I first battled the Metroids on planet Ceres. It was there that I foiled the plans of the space pirate leader Mother Brain to use the creatures to attack galactic civilization. So there's the first Metroid. Final confrontation, as it were. I next fought the Metroids on their home world, SR-388. I completely eradicated them, except for a larva, which after hatching, followed me like a confused child. This is the ending resolution, if you will, to Metroid 2, which is pretty much just as it sounds. Kill all the Metroids on their home world. Yeah, Samus is badass, like that. I personally delivered it to the Galactic Research Station at Ceres, so scientists could study its energy-producing qualities. This is where we really begin with Super Metroid in the chronology. There's Samus handing over the Metroid. The scientists' findings were astounding. They discovered that the powers of the Metroid might be harnessed for the good of civilization. There's them running all kinds of tests on it. I like how it has its own little capsule. Satisfied that all was well, I left the station to seek a new bounty to hunt. But I had hardly gone beyond the asteroid belt when I picked up a distress signal. Ceres Station was under attack. Space Colony Ceres. And so it begins, my friends. Here we are, hopping right off. Started getting our feet wet with the controls. I'm kind of still getting used to this controller that I'm using. My keyboard really is not set up to play this game, at least not the way I want to play it. So, we are running around. One thing I'd like to point out is just how, well they set this up. It's all eerie, and you get in here, and you notice that, you recognize that from the intro, it's broken. Dead bodies around. Obviously somebody, or something, seems to be after the Metroid. Big surprise, I know, And there it is. Go figure. Oh, hi there. Ridley. Just don't mind me while I shoot you full of energy shots. Jumping while shooting has always been a viable strategy in this game. Still good enough to do this. Maybe not. It's been a while, as you can tell. Drop it. Ah! I used to be able to get him to the point where he would drop Metroid. Self-destruct sequence activated. Evacuate the colony immediately. Go figure. Atmosphere. Yes, atmosphere. Yes, absolutely. That is exactly what I meant to say. Place is even falling apart. I heard this part was an absolute, just disaster on Super Metroid. Impossible. Would have died like 60 times over by now on Super Metroid. Impossible. And there it goes, just absolutely nothing left, go figure. And here we are, where it technically all began, Planet Ceres. A little bit of background information that the games don't go too much into detail about. Planet Ceres was originally a Chozo world, and Mother Brain was in fact a Chozo creation, if you will. It was I guess you could call it a cybernetic organism, essentially just a brain, and it was supposed to run pretty much the entire operations of Ceres. Now, when they started having conflict with the space pirates, Mother Brain sort of offered to become a diplomat in that respect, but eventually turned on the Chozo. And kicked him off the planet, as it were. Now, also interestingly enough, before that time, Samus she had actually grown up on Ceres. The Chozo took her in after Ridley, leading a group of space pirates, completely obliterated her home world and her parents. Unknowingly, he made his greatest arch nemesis ever. Now, right off the bat here, you can see that we drop down, and if you might recognize this from the intro, this is the remains of old Torian, which was where Mother Brain was kept. Now, Torian was sort of the center of Ceres, not just for the Chozo, but for the space pirates as well. So if this place is all busted up and destroyed, then that can only mean that the space pirates and Mother Brain have moved, assuming that Mother Brain is even still around. Since Ridley is, well, there's no telling. This is obviously the old Brinstar. This is essentially the remains of the first game. Now, there's an eye security system, which, now that I know a little bit more about what Mother Brain's function was, it explains a lot that it's an eye security system. That's basically Mother Brain just saying, I see you, and I know you're here. Now that we have the morph ball, we can go ahead and turn into a ball and roll around and stuff, just by tapping down twice. It's pretty cool stuff. First beginning items that really help us out. This also explains why there's Chozo statues everywhere. Obviously, this was a Chozo world. Chozo had stuff everywhere. Now that I have missiles, I can go ahead and blow open the pink-colored hatches to effectively get other places. Not the best talker, as you guys might have noticed. Let's see here. Now, I don't believe we can get to it just yet. There is a energy tank up in the top there. I forget exactly how you get to it, but I don't believe we even have the means to do so. Oh, there it is. Just can't quite get to it. High security cam. Alright, now, this was also a very active area in the first game. Now, since there's no life here whatsoever, it's suggesting that this place has kind of been forgotten. At least that might be the idea. So, it's kind of all about where do we go from here. Notice there's, I believe the colors in here changed a little bit. And surprise, space pirates. Right. The mist is cleared. The space pirate, naturally since Mother Brain knows that we're here, the space pirates are out and kicking. So now we begin to make our way back. Still kind of getting the hang of doing my wall kicking trick again. It's a little hard to work with this particular directional pad. It's kind of got one of those Xbox sort of directional pads to it where it's a little harder to just go left and not left in a diagonal direction. I mean, maybe that's not a problem for the rest of you, but it's definitely a problem for me. Although this is not an Xbox controller, but it does have that kind of directional pad. At least everything else about the Xbox controller is pretty solid. At least, you know, my book. Yeah. All the beasties are out now. Should also point out that this area in particular is known as the Crateria. It used to be the Brinstar, but it's believed that the area got rebuilt and renamed as such. Also, I'm not sure if this area was actually at the end of Metroid, like on the way out, or not, but, alright, now see, here we have the map data. You can pretty much check out the entire area. Kind of give you just a little bit of a, sort of a overview, if you will, of like where all we're gonna take this adventure. See, there's the way to the Brinstar over there. There's the ship up at the top. You can see there's just a standalone area that seems to lead down into the Brinstar, kind of implying that you come up from there. Large area over there leading to the wrecked ship, and from the wrecked ship to the Meridia. And we will all get to those in good time. For now, I'm gonna just try to get through here and complete the first area of the Crateria. What I do like about this game is how there is some level of forgiveness as far as damage taken, because you do wind up with a pretty serious amount of health, energy as it is called, by the end of this. And a pretty impressive armory of munitions and ordnance. Like I said, Sam, this is just badass like that. So here we are going through here. This is sort of another, we're about to see another effective example of just how the Chozo technology works. One important thing about Chozo technology is that it seems like the space pirates either can't adapt it, or are just having a lot of trouble adapting it, because all of this stuff is still here. And even in Metroid Prime, lore files indicate that the space pirates have tried several times to reproduce the morph ball technology, and they couldn't. So it's like the Chozo are like the one leg up that the rest of the universe has on the space pirates. Now, this guy can set bombs in morph ball form. Look at this. Now, check it out. See? That is an unbreakable door. That's when you realize that the statue has come to life. Chozo security system. Very effective son of a bitch. Missiles again. Pull his face off. There we go. Alright. And he's down. And replenished all the missiles. And like I said, I've got bombs. Now the funny thing about the bomb is that it does make for, it is sort of intended as a weapon, but it's actually more utility than anything else. And by that I mean this, like, we saw these things earlier. You blow them up. Again, this is mostly for the people who are kind of new to the Metroid franchise. Most of you out there are probably that don't know much about Metroid are probably a little bit more familiar with Zelda. And same sort of people made it. Just this is a little bit more sci-fi, and it's a little bit less adventure, a little bit more exploring. I shouldn't even say that, because Zelda goes deeply into that as well. We have an energy tank. Like I said, a lot of the same mechanics are there. You know, you get something that enables you to get places that you weren't able to go to previously. See this? These space pirates are capable of blocking my shots, so just switch to missiles and effectively bypass, well, overpower their defenses. See, this is another thing about game design. Notice how there's not really any area to go around them. You're pretty much forced to realize that you have to shoot them with the missiles to bust them up. Now, another thing I like is, see how, like, this was mostly, like, ruins and stuff like that? Now, suddenly there's just technology. It's all, you know, grating, you know, metal plating and stuff like that. And check it out. Over here, same thing. You kind of get the feeling we're headed to a different area now, right? Let's go ahead and check the map, see what's here. Okay, now, I don't recall if this was actually on the map before or not. I think it was, but you notice, like, there's an edge there. Yeah. Yeah, this door isn't on that map. There we are. Now, let's see. Let's go ahead and just do a head count here real fast. Okay, there's Ridley. And what some of you might not know are the names of these other guys. Well, y'all might know Crade, because Crade and Ridley, Crade over here on the left, Crade and Ridley were both part of the first game. Now, these other two, the lore I've found on them suggests that they are in fact space pirates. Well, they're all space pirate leaders, obviously. And I'm not exactly sure how this mechanism works. But naturally, we're not going to really get anywhere here until we come back after having dealt with all of these guys. But just quick names here. On the top is Ridley. On the left here is Crade. In the middle we have Phantoon. And on the right, we have Dragon. I think I said all those correctly. They're fairly phonetic. anyway, that, as you might expect, leads to the final stage of the game. That will unlock the final doorway to Torian, the new Torian, that is. We'll get to see what sort of redecorating Mother Brain has done since we've been gone. Just gonna try to restock my missiles here by shooting up these guys. I wound up just losing a little bit of energy. It's okay though. Forgiveness in this area is pretty good. Okay, let's see how much time I've got. Go ahead and go just a little bit further. Now this is an area that I believe was not in the first Metroid. It is known as the Brinstar, well, the new Brinstar. Notice how jungly it is. The enemies found here are completely different. I believe that at this point in the chronology, this area in Ceres has not existed here before. Let's go ahead and head in here, I believe. One of these should lead to a save room. I'm trying to do this without save states, naturally. So they sort of introduce, an area where... Oh no, this is the map room. Okay, well this is helpful anyway. So we'll get to see more or less what the Brinstar looks like. As you can see, it's a pretty large area. It's actually bigger than you'd guess. Let's see. Now, this is another one of those moments where we sort of look and we realize we recognize symbols that look important. Down there on the bottom right, as you might expect, that is the symbol of a boss. A major boss at that. But we'll get to that eventually. Now, this is also another area. You see where we came in? Actually, no. That is not where we came in. That is the, that dead ahead is, the old Brinstar. As you can tell, it dead ends, like, right there. As far as I'm aware, there is no, like, connecting area, there. There might be, actually. But, I don't think there is. It leads back to the Crateria. And, I think for now we're gonna go ahead and end this here. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.